Hey, what's going on, guys? Mangum Sun here, bring you a Division 2 video. Let's get into it. So, I'm going to explain to you why DPS and armor doesn't matter. If your build is good, your build is good. But if you want to find out more about what a build is, go into my build video. What I'm going to display on the screen is skill tier 6 build that doesn't primarily focus on DPS of the weapons. Now, when you have proper positioning and you have proper outlook on where all the enemies are at and what's ahead of you, going into a gunfight with just skills is completely and 100% viable. You don't have to tank everything if everything gets put down properly. Now, the synergy between what you use and what you have is going to make the build a build. It's going to make your DPS, so to say, different than that of a regular DPS type of playstyle. So when I say DPS, I mean weapon damage overall. So looking at the build from the beginning of the video, my LMG didn't have a lot of damage, my rifle doesn't have a lot of damage, but sitting at skill tier 6 and having that option available to me with the synergistic build that I have with the Acosta go back, overcharge, chem launcher, radius increase, and the assault turret to proc my gas every time that I shoot my chem launcher out to get that explosive effect. Now, I'm not saying that any of those DPS or tank builds out there aren't viable, but what I'm saying is that you don't have to double down on either or. Like I said, you have to have a balance of everything. You got to have survivability, you have to have DPS, and you have to have longevity. Now, if your overall build is working together in harmony, then you don't need to focus on having 1.3 million armor. You don't have to focus on having 1.7 million or what have you DPS coming out of your weapon. It's not theoretically possible to have every single thing sitting at skill tier 6, 1 million armor, and having over millions and millions of points of damage coming out of your gun. That's the old way of the Division, and that made a lot of things unbalanced. So again, you have to play the game that the way was intended to play from the beginning, which is you have to play your role and you have to know how to play it right. And when it comes to taking down the enemies in the Division 2, challenging is the new hard, heroic is the new challenging. So even with the updates that's going to come later in TU10, we're going to see more people get into that heroic status and taking on content and maxing out that recalibration library to fill it up. Now, if you have a gear set, that could be used to harmonize your build with your DPS and survivability, but what this focuses on in this video at the same time, like I said, DPS and armor and skill tiers. Skill tiers doesn't matter either. If you have a max DPS build or a max tank build, why would you spec into skill tiers up to level 6? You're going to defeat the purpose of what you're trying to do. What you need to end up focusing on, as you can see in this video right here, that in my build I have the explosions, I have the fire, I have the assault turret to cover my right and my left to where I can't see, and this makes me maximize and capitalize on my build focus, which is primarily the chem launcher with the explosion, to end up reaching those NPCs that were regularly out of reach from normal gameplay and gunfights. So the key is to focus on something, and when you focus on something, you need to do it right. The gear sets are going to balance you out. The talents on the weapons are going to balance you out. But when you get this focus and you're able to capitalize, maximize, and focus on something that makes that build a build, then you get to focus on, well, now I need to mid-max this and bring it to the next level. I need to get off a normal difficulty and go into hard. I need to get off a hard difficulty and go into challenging, and then go off for challenging into heroic, so then you can be ready for the legendary content, so you can get more exotic caches, better stat rolls on things, god rolls, and everything of that nature. So you may ask, okay, so if I do make armor important in my build, what does my playstyle need to be? Well, this is an aggressive game. This isn't a up in your face type of deal. When the new gear sets come out, when the new gear comes out, we'll look back into that later. But for right now, the tank builds in this game are going to be primarily used with the shield and a shotgun, primarily maybe the Sweet Dreams, and then you're going to want to focus on staying out in the open. When I say stay out in the open, I mean peeking over cover, because you can take those hits and put down more DPS. But if you're a DPS player, then how would I play? Like I said in my previous video, you're going to watch enemy movement, you're going to take those shots that matter, and you're going to put the enemies down that the healer or the tank couldn't put down. So none of the DPS values, armor values, and skill tiers are important until it's important to you if it's a part of your build, if that makes any sense. So you just want to be a well-rounded person that is able to do what you do and do it at the highest level. So I hope you guys like the video. It's going to continue playing in the background, and 50 subscribers is what I'm trying to get to, and I'll see you in the next one.